Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Welcome back to coffee time. All right, let's see who's here. I've got so much stuff to show you. If you could see a camera down into my space right now, you would be mystified at how much stuff is at my feet to show you this morning. Happy Monday. Let's see who's here. Where is my cursor? There it is. Joelle, happy Monday in Calgary. Wishing you a happy Monday too. I hope it was a good weekend. Robin, hello. Heat wave in Wisconsin getting up to 35. Same here. It was about 34, 35 when I was driving over. And it's not freezing. So that definitely makes it a heat wave right now. I'm glad you're getting the same thing. Catherine, good morning. Happy Monday in sunny Arizona. And Sheila, good morning in Benton City. Beautiful and sunny day. We haven't got the sun yet. Maybe the sun's headed out this way. We had a beautiful sunny day yesterday, though. I have to tell you all about that. It was a big rug hooking day for me. And I have to share with you everything I had. I put this picture here, and my OCD is telling me, yeah, it goes, it goes. I put it there for bingo night so that I didn't get a reflection, but that has to go now, or I'll be staring at how off kilter it is. Donna, good morning in sunny Alberta. Great to see you. Great to see you. And Crystal, you're there too. Happy Monday. Super pretty day in Nova Scotia. Oh, that's great. Things are changing, right? It's supposed to be a bit more mild this week, I think. So maybe we're looking at just some more sun-filled happy days, just mental health days. Mom, good morning. I still owe you a message. I've been writing my mom like one word here, one word there because I've just been a little on the busy side, but I am dying to catch up, and we'll catch up soon because this coming weekend is my birthday, so we have to do some birthday stuff. Mom, me, and my sister Jessica get together and do some fun stuff. April, good morning, happy Monday. It's almost like an oxymoron saying happy Monday, isn't it? But it's nice to be back together, and it is going to be a nice weather week, so why not? Chrissy, oh, you're on, Chrissy. Happy Monday, happy coffee time. Good to see you. Joan, you're on too. Finally seeing a warming trend. Okay, so also in Wisconsin. Oh, that's great. Dad, good to see you. I have an email coming your way because I have some date options finally, assuming the snow truly lays off, as it seems to be laying off. And Lori, good morning in Fort Worth, Texas. I have been out of touch with news this week, and I have to say it's been that busy of a day. Let me see if I can move you back a little bit. I'll move myself back. Maybe that's easier. Happy Monday. Now, so much thank you, Sheila. It's not a big one. It's 49 this year. So, but the thing about that is when you turn 49, you have already had 50 years, haven't you? You've had 50 and we're calling it 49, but at the end of the day, I've had 50. So I'm not going to obsess on that angle. It is what it is. I'm going to try to be okay. Oh, you missed us last week, Lori. Well, you're back and we are always here. You can always return to us, right? Slapper Gray in Toronto. Good morning, everyone. You loved cocktail night. Many books to read. Oh, I'm so glad it was. Thank you for reminding me. It was a fun cocktail night on Friday. I still have the wheel up as a decoration because I figured why not? It reminds me that I need to work on the next bingo night, but it also reminds me that we always have fun times when we play our games. And I think it was really fun on Friday. I got a lot of messages saying that husbands were eavesdropping, husbands, partners, whoever else was in the room. And I thought that's really nice because that means it's not just for people who are interested in rug hooking. Other people can listen and enjoy, and that's a really nice angle. So I was happy to hear that, and I got some ideas for books too. So I've got some more reading and listening on book cassette to do. So I hope you enjoyed that. And if you have great suggestions for the next bingo night, please let me know because I would love to hear them, and I need to hear them because I do run out of mental energy sometimes. I hit walls, all kinds of walls, left and right. Next Sunday on the 28th, Crystal, it's my birthday. I shouldn't make a big deal out of it, but I do look forward to it. You know, I do, no matter what, because I know at least we're going to go get some great sushi and have a flight of sake. So at the very least, oh, you just began to read Perfume, Catherine, isn't it? It's an odd book, but it's very, very engrossing, I think. It's got such great atmosphere. Oh, Anita, you just came on. Good morning. And Penny, you're on. Good morning. Good to see you both. So, yep, next weekend that's coming up. I won't be on that day, weirdly, because of course I would go on. I went on Thanksgiving and Christmas, but it falls on a Sunday, so I'll be having a day off. And yeah, I've got to figure out what I'm doing this weekend, Mom, because we talked also about getting together, which we certainly will, with my mom and my sister. But I also got a message yesterday from the family of, you know how my favorite person is Molly Naitobi, the rug hooker from my hometown, Barrington, Rhode Island. Her daughter-in-law, because she had three sons, if you remember from our Molly Toby 50 States bingo night, she had three sons, and all three sons had passed away, I think, but the one of the sister-in-laws was still alive, and she just passed away. So her son is the person that I've been in touch with, working on the beginnings of the book because he's been working on the family history part of it. So he let me know last night that his mother had passed away, which is super sad, and invited me to the memorial service on Saturday. So I'll probably shoot to Barrington, Rhode Island on Saturday to show up in person and show a commitment to the family and an interest in the family, and honor Molly and I, Toby, and her obviously daughter-in-law who just passed away, and the whole family that I'm working with to work on this book. So that'll be kind of a sad event, but that was a twist that just came up at 10 o'clock last night. So we'll have to see how the birthday pans out after that, because that's a bit of a road trip in the other direction. But when something like this happens, obviously you go. You know how interested and in love with the entire family I am, because I feel that the work of Molly, as the sort of matriarch of the family, was so profound on rug hooking. It has not been documented, so I will certainly go and make and whatever show my interest and respects and all that stuff. But it is a sad occasion, of course. So that's coming up this weekend. Now, what else do I want to tell you? March Kit is well underway. So, oh, you're chatting about, what are you chatting about? Who's new? And guilds near you. Very good. Yeah, check out the guilds that are near you. That is so important and funny that you should be talking about guilds. So yesterday, I took a road trip. I went with Jay. We did some antiquing so he could get some auction stuff. And I went to pick up a lot of rug hooking stuff I thought it was New Jersey, but it was New York. Um, so it was, yeah, like a remote part near Poughkeepsie, not super remote, but a bit mountainous. And Carol, great to see you. Um, and you know what was so strange? I knew that it was going to be like a box of patterns that I couldn't tell what they were. It was just, you could see that there was a box with patterns and then a bunch of books. And I knew I had all the books. But I know that not all you have the books. They're older books, but they're books that we cover on Coffee Time. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to grab them so that I can offer them at a really low price, so that, I can get my money back from having done the haul, and you can get some of the books that you're looking for. And then I thought I'll go through the patterns and see if anybody wants any of these. There's like 100 or more. Many of them are partially done. So I'm going to show you some of those right now, as like the Adopt Me patterns, like you take it on and you finish it. Now they're all on burlap, but but they're almost done, and you have to honor them, and you have to stick with it, and you have to see it through. And we'll come to that in a minute. But what was so neat about this day out was, I'm driving out there, and I've driven out that way before because I used to live a few towns over in Carmel. Yeah, Carmel, yeah. It was a smaller town that began with an M. It was so long ago, I can't remember. It was like hundreds of boyfriends ago. But I used to live out that way, so I've been there many times. But while I was driving out to this woman's house that was truly in the middle of nowhere, I got to this intersection, and it was like a dream. It was like those moments where you're driving and you think, did I dream this? Is this a past life? What is going on? And I'm not even a magical thinker, but I got to this intersection, and I saw on my right South Plank Street, and then I saw this little tiny traffic island, super steep hill with a little cemetery on it, tiny. And it was like I have been here hundreds of times. And I realized in a flash that I had been there. It was the way I used to drive, honestly, 25 years ago, to visit my friend Marnie, who used to live on that very street where I picked up from this woman, right on the New York-Pennsylvania line. And I used to go up there, and she used to publish a magazine, and I used to do a lot of writing for her. And in those days, I did a lot of writing for Somerset Studio, the scrapbooking magazine, a lot of how-to stuff. And we would go and do crafts together and plan tea parties together and have all kinds of. But it was such a surreal moment to pull up to the intersection and see the steep hill with the cemetery on the traffic island. And it was just like worlds colliding. It was such a neat feeling. It was so neat. Find a rug to finish. Oh, Joan, here comes. There's going to be about 100 to choose from. I won't show them all right now because I'll photograph them and stuff. But it was so wonderful going to her place. This woman was super gracious, and her husband was super lovely, and he was working on this beautiful black walnut table in the driveway, the craftsman style. That's obviously his hobby. And he had a big workspace where he was working on the fretwork for this beautiful table. And next door, she had the most gorgeous studio I've ever seen with a little tiny loft on top. And she is a quilter, so she was not super interested in the rug stuff that she inherited from her mother, who was a hooker, and her grandmother, who was a hooker. And they were actually living in the grandmother's house, and the mother had passed away, so she had gotten sort of two generations of rug cooking supplies. Lots of Jane Austen, Pearl McGowan, Joan Moshimer, all the big, like, earlier names, and some other ones mixed in, like Happy de Franza. There was like a lot of different things mixed in, but it was just so neat to be there and to be looking at her stuff. And she told me about how she never really got into hooking, but her grandmother was a contemporary of Pearl McGowan, and I mean, her grandmother's work was just over the top. She had this little container of ribbons that her grandmother had won for putting her work into like shows and local fairs, and one of them was this giant. It had to be a Pearl McGowan country piece with farm animals and stuff. It was very pastoral, and it had won first prize, and it was hanging up in a frame. With many, many other pieces that her grandmother and her mother had done, but it had been a first prize piece back in the day. And she had a correspondence from Pearl McGowan to her grandmother, where Pearl McGowan said to her grandmother, I don't think I can teach you anything, because she was that good. And she showed me some pieces that were just so good. They were the things that I'm not good at, that I don't really pursue, the really intense shading. It was unbelievable. It was like holographic how perfectly some of this stuff was shaded. So I hope to be in touch still, because I wish that I would have taken a picture of this beautiful Santa dummy board that she had, because the red cloak of Santa was, I mean, I can't even describe it. There isn't even a word for it. The way that it was colored so richly and it was so alive, there isn't even a word for it. So it was just an unbelievable stop. And she showed me this beautiful old book from, I think it was 1952. It was like a autograph type book, and it was the local guilds is what made me think of this. The local sort of, not chapter, because it wasn't ATHA. ATHA is in the 1970s, right? So this is pre-ATHA. So this is a rug hooking group, like informal group. They were called like the Orange County Hookers, or maybe not hookers, but something, the Orange County something. And I asked if she knew where they met, if it was maybe like a local Grange or something like that. And she didn't know, but maybe we'll find out in the future. Maybe you know. But this is the 50s, and in the book it was page after page after page of cursive names of people who showed up for meetings on certain nights and wrote their name in there and what town they were from. And they were, even in the 50s, coming from towns, quite a few towns over, so quite very, very, very remote. New York, Pennsylvania line, very remote. So, I mean, they're coming from many towns over, and it's a drive. It's a drive even going one town over. So I just thought it was so interesting, just flipping through and looking at the names. And she kept a lot of the stuff that was signed by Pearl McGowan and written to her mom, because her mom, I think her mom was a teacher, and I'm not sure whether the grandmother was a teacher too. But there was such a great family history there, and I really, really, really got into it. So I want to show you some of the things that I got from there, because I'll put some of them up for you all if you want to do some Adopt Me projects, or if you, I'll get the books organized in the next few days. There are a lot of books that I have that I didn't have doubles of, that now I have doubles of, so I can offer the same to you, because books that I've covered in Coffee Time, or I'm about to cover in Coffee Time, that are a little bit hard to find. Books that on eBay show up for $20, $30, and I know you don't want to buy them for $20 or $30, so if I can at least offer one copy here, one copy there for like $10, then I figured the whole thing is worth it. And it was a beautiful day out in the sun. It was just beautiful riding out in the sun. And for me, the best part, I love the stuff that I got, but the best part was like being able to talk about rug hooking in the 1950s with somebody whose mother and grandmother had done it. That was just super, super exciting. I felt like I was there, It was super nice. And then I got into a crazy conversation with this woman at the antique store who was intense, but super nice. And she started telling me things that her grandmother had remembered, that she remembered her grandmother saying as she grew up. And they almost made me cry. It was like, so, it was so like dear, the things that she was saying. And she said this neat thing also in that immediate area there, right in New York. She said that her grandmother used to say, even though she had traveled the whole world, that she loved coming back to that part of New York State, because she said no place else in the world do you find trees growing out of rocks. And then she almost cried when she said it, because she hadn't thought of that for years. She was an older person, and then she almost made me cry because I could tell that she was like choking herself up. But it was just a nice, it was just a nice day full of thoughts and memories and inspiration. And then I got to come home and go through all this stuff. And the bad thing is that it's super musty smelling. So I know you can do stuff with baking powder and dryer sheets, and I hope I can get some of the musty smell out of it. The patterns that have not been worked at all are not a problem because anybody who wants those patterns, I'm sure, is going to transfer them off of burlap onto monk's cloth, rug warp, or linen anyway. So I'm not worried about those. I just want to sort of stabilize the sort of mustiness of the pieces that are partly done because they're so beautiful. Yeah, right, April. I feel like I've had 100 lives so far. I feel like I should be super tired, and I am. But that's because I had kids in my 40s. So let's look at that in in a minute. I wanted to show you. I've been working on the March kit, and I know I mentioned it in Zoom this past Wednesday. Zoom again this Wednesday, of course, and this is the design. So this is the idea. I wanted to do something. Klimt was such a big seller last month with the fancy fibers and all that, and the hand-dyed stuff that I did the video with, you know, all the hand-dyed wools that got cut up, and they added so much extra sort of bling to the look of it. Very metallic stuff in there too. By the way, if you didn't hear me say during bingo night, there was one day that I sent out the kits that for all of the kits I forgot to put in the metallic, the flannel backed metallic from Green Mountain. If you got a kit from me on that day, two of them, the mother and daughter team, Lori and Joy, Lori called and Joy sent an email, so I know that they both didn't get it. But if you did not get the metallic strips, let me know because I will put them in an envelope. You should have 8 of them in that kit, and I will send them to you, of course, at my expense because that was my I Love Lucy chocolate thing, right? Just conveyor belt, putting stuff in bags and screwing up. So March kit, I wanted to sort of keep going along those lines. The pincushion dolls I have not finished mine yet. I will. Candy wrappers, all that has been a popular seller. And I wanted to do something else with embellishments, but I have to do it in a way that I'm comfortable with it too, because I'm not a big embellishments person. As much as we're enjoying our British rag rugs and all the bits and pieces that get thrown into those. By the way, Joyce, thank you for making the comment on that video. Joyce said that she's hooked with plastic bags, things like gift wrap. There was a few other things she said. So you can hook with anything, and I wanted to keep that theme going for the March kit. So I drew this little drawing of this little bird, like a fracture style bird coming into the nest with little robin's egg blue stuff. And then I want this nest, where's my hand? I want this nest to be all well, some of it hooked, and then some like proddy pieces coming out, like straight pieces, not shaped, just proddy pieces coming out. And I want to do the whole nest in stuff like this. I have tons and tons and tons of different brown checks, you know, browns, whites, herringbones, tweeds. I have tons. There's probably 10 different patterns in here, all brown, golden family, so that the nest will be that kind of color scheme. And then the bird is blue. I'll show you the dyeing I've done so far. And I've been experimenting. I haven't confirmed anything yet. It's going to be bright. So let me get it off my frame so I can show you better. I've got it drawn. And I'm not showing you a perfect drawing yet because I'm not sure it's perfect. But this is what I've got so far. It's going to be a slightly rectangular one in the corners. I'm probably going to do in a lime green with a maroon border, just a straight maroon border. But this is what I've got so far. I'm working on the robin's egg colors in the nest. I'll show you what I've got for that. And at the bottom, it's going to be almost like a sunrise, sunset, fiddler on the roof thing with lots of pinks going into more lighter colors. It's going to go dark on the bottom to lighter corals and pinky rose colors. And then the bird is going to be like dark blue, like a bluebird, not like a blue jay, but like a blue bird. So let me show you what I've been working on for that. For the bottom of the sunset, I've been using these 2 colors that I dyed. Really crazy, really purpley and crazy. My color's not good here. And then the hot pink mixed in. So that's for the bottom of the bright sunset. And then I dyed these 3 colors for the bird, which doesn't look like it, but it's 3 different, thanks Penny, 3 different blues, completely different blues. The thing with this set is I want the wools to be, I'm dyeing them in a way, if you're a dyer, that I put them into the dye, it starts to take the color. I don't stir them so that the color settles in a mottled manner rather than solid and even. It settles mottled. And then I sprinkle a little bit of the powder of the same color just over the top of it, and it falls and settles down. And it gives it an imperfect sort of pattern, settles down in places. So I want the whole thing to look like a watercolor that's had some sort of flex with a brush, you know, that kind of feel. And then I did this for the robin's egg blue. I think I did too much of the brownie color. So when I do yours, I probably won't do as much because I find I'm avoiding it. But for robin's egg blue, this kind of weird brown green worked really well over the robin's egg. And you can see with these chemical colors, of course, never with natural dyes, but with chemical dyes, you get these beautiful breaks. And I thought that could make for really nice speckled eggs. And then this morning, I just put through a lighter blue because I feel I need a lighter blue in the bird. And these are actually all different pinks and peaches. So the sky will go from that bright, bright, bright pink right up through like this corally pink. See how the flecks settle to these different, all of these are different colors. And of course, as I did them, they're still damp. As I did them, I cut off a little piece and I put it through a piece of cardboard and I wrote what it was. So, you know, so you can remember what you're doing. But, oh, thank you, Joan. But it was super fun. And it's just another way of dyeing, right? Look at the way that these colors broke. Just dropped a little bit in the pan, walked away, had an egg sandwich, came back, and it had done its thing. So, and colors like this is a color called Pink Sand from Pro Chem. And I don't know if you can tell, but it breaks to blue, yellow, fuchsia, and brown. And it's a really light color, but it breaks to all those colors. So I think it'll be a fun set. But the main thing about this set is the colors of wool are great, right? The colors of wool are the colors of wool. Beautiful springtime set. But the thing about this kit is you will receive, if you get this kit, for your nest, because the whole idea is that I just think it's so sweet how birds collect things and put them in their nests, right? I'm always saying this. Ever since last year when my kids littered a couple of popsicle wrappers after the ice cream truck blew by, the bird like tore them up and I saw them woven into his little nest like these little, because I thought, shame on you, litter bugs, you know, but then I realized that he had recycled them and he was using them in his nest, and he had a few other things in his nest, like pieces of wool that escaped the yard after I dyed them and they were hanging out. Those were in his nest too. And on one hand, I'm a bit worried about it because isn't it easier for predators to find him with all these colors of wool and plastic coming out of his nest? But on the other hand, I feel like he must have been so excited in those moments to have found those things to put in the nest. So in your kit, inside your Proddy nest, if you end up doing this kit, my next move, I ordered from Etsy enough to do like 40 kits. So I'm good for a good first, second wave. Charms, little golden charms that look super old, like old Roman coins, little skeleton keys, a couple of buttons. Everybody get a couple of buttons, a little enamel monarch butterfly, some pieces of glass, like sea glass that are, everything's on a charm so you can sew it into your nest if you want. These little things, these I'm turning into a necklace, but they're like little gummy bear charms. They look like little candies that fell on the ground and they're very shimmery. And the pattern is going to be called Shiny Things. So every kit is going to come with a bunch of these charms. The same thing for everybody. The only thing that will be different is like you'll probably get 3 truly antique buttons, and they'll be different every time because I don't have repeats, but I have a lot. So everything will come with all of the pattern pieces, the pieces to do Proddy, and the charms. And the thing about this kit that's going to be different than past kits is that if you end up getting this kit, it does not come cut. Because what I've been doing is sitting my fat butt on the couch with the Doritos and the scissors, and I'm literally just cutting each strip as I go, instead of doing the slicer, the stripper, the Sissix, the Bliss, the whatever. I haven't been doing that. I've been watching TV, eating Doritos, cutting with a pair of scissors, putting it in. I get a bit of a wider cut, certainly wider than an 8, so this pattern will default to coming on linen. But I think it's nice, and of course I will cut if you want me to. Leave me a note when you order that says to cut. This will be available in the next few days. But I'm going to default to linen and not cutting because I think it's good for us, British rag rugs again. I think it's good for us once in a while to remind ourselves about where this craft came from. And we didn't use cutters at the beginning, right? We didn't spend all that money on all those extra gadgets. We used these gadget things. So, you know, it's perfectly possible, and it's also a lot of fun to do some light strips, some skinny strips, some wide strips, whatever. Doritos would give you a nice patina. They would. Dorito would give a nice finish. The moss would also love it. They would love it if I started. I eat Doritos with my right hand because it holds the hook. Isn't that awful? And then the other one is the one that touches the walls. A little bit conscious of how much of a pig I've become. Oh, Wendy, I can see this technique working to dye yarn. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? Don't go anywhere. I'm going to just hike over here and tell you, when you do this dyeing thing, if you are more of a yarn dyer, this is an example, because Wendy just said, you could also do this thing, the yarn technique, where you just sprinkle. Put your gloves on though, because it's really bad. Just a little bit of powder, a couple of grains. This brand, one of my favorite yarn brands for knitting and also hooking, it's called Cat Sandwich Fibers, but it's a quite expensive brand, and you can see that's what they're doing. This is not magic. Somebody is in their kitchen and they're sprinkling a little bit of powder, different powders, onto the yarn, and they're just letting it set. They're probably microwave setting this. You can equally set it in your oven, but this is exactly what people do with chemical dyes. This is how it's done, and then the skein costs $30-something. So you can do this at home with the powders that you've got. Absolutely you can. So let's look at, I'm already almost there. So we're going to have to leak over to tomorrow. I want to show you some of the things I picked up this weekend. And I'm super sorry. This one is not for sale. I have got to finish this one myself. This is one of the things I picked up when I went to New York this week. Beautiful scene with a girl. Has a little bit of lace sewn onto the cuffs. I was born in the Netherlands and I lived in the Netherlands for a good part of my grown-up life. But beautiful sort of stained glass feel to this piece. Isn't that gorgeous? And look at the colors, just in this, like, for no reason other than they're gorgeous. And look at the directional hooking of that celery green right under the arm. Diagonal, for no reason other than it's gorgeous, right? Look at all of that directional hooking. Isn't that crazy? So I can easily fill in the top, and that's one that I really want to finish. I had that little bit of, the Netherlands thing. It's not my favorite, but I was born there. And then huge, large pieces like this, huge, beautiful lamb's tongue or fish scale or whatever. She's only done a corner of it, but man, look at that quality of work she's done. I don't know if this was the mother or the grandmother, but this is a big rug, and she's whip stitched everything first. So she's finished the edges first. So you're not getting any of that sort of fraying. Isn't it interesting to see how other people have worked? Historically, I learned things when I watched the way other people work. She has another device that she does in here that I'm going to show you because maybe you've heard of it. I hadn't until I saw it with this lot. These beautiful Pearl McGowan perfume bottles. I mean, look at the shading on these. Isn't that crazy? Oh, you love that, Martha. I know, I do too. These are burlap. These are from the 70s. So, it's not like these are from the time of Moses and they're turning into ash in my hand. The ones that are finished, I would definitely, the ones that are semi-finished, I would definitely finish. The ones that are totally new, if people like the patterns, I would transfer them and just make it safe. But I would, in most cases, honor the work that has already been done. This whole oval rug is whipped in green, and it's a beautiful big bird rug with the birds already in there, a couple of birds in there, right? But that is, don't worry, I'm gonna fold all these up perfectly when we're done with coffee time. She did a lot of stuff like this, Waldoboro. Now, it's a frog with a little mushroom. Can you see how Waldoboro this is? I mean, look at this chunky monkey. Right? I mean, is that crazy and gorgeous? That is just gorgeous. What does it say? Be it ever so humble, there's no place like home. Oh, and he's under like a little toadstool. I'm going to show you more of these tomorrow. They're just too good. And then this is like a sampler with fruits and flowers and look at this craziness. This flower emerging. Oh, look, another Waldoboro here. You see that? Isn't that? I mean, that just is super, super yummy. Yummy and delicious. But there's a lot. And there's a lot that are like almost done. There's very little to go on that. Look at the detail of this. I mean, truly outrageous amount of work. So yeah, so there's probably, I would say, 50 Adopt Me projects in here that I'll document and I'll get out if you want to finish a project rather than start. And I'm going to end in a second because I know it's time, but I just have to say, when I'm looking at pieces like this that are only part done, and probably because she was a teacher, this only the corner here with the thing needs to be done with the top of the whole cucumber is done with all the slices. But because she was a teacher, I think she probably started and didn't finish a lot of projects. Of course, I do the same thing and I have no excuse. I just love to start projects just like love to start books and don't well, I always finish them in the end, but they sit on the nightstand for 6 months first. Same thing with hooking, right? It's just the way that it is. But there's a lot of projects in here. Stuff like this, Oh, how pretty is that? But it makes me think with some of these, worst case scenario, I would want to somehow put some of these partially finished ones, if nobody is going to end up wanting to finish them, onto a stretcher and put them half finished permanently on display, like on a stretcher. So you're seeing part of the backing piece, part of the fabric piece. I would not mind having a whole wall of partially finished pieces like this up on a stretcher because it makes me, first of all, I love to see the process of things, right? The process is always interesting, but it makes me think of the other person who's done the work and the time that they were, hooking and what life was like and who their companions were and who they knew and who their inspiration was. I like to see that and I like to think about that. So worst case scenario for me, I have a bunch of pieces that I don't finish, but I end up mounting in a collection of really beautiful, mostly Pearl McGowan and Jane Austen patterns with parts of them finished, almost like an art installation that is not pretentious at all because these are just, and this one's a bit primitive, which is really different. This is really different. I'm going to leave you with this one. It's, okay, so there's more border to do, but you can see that it's hooked. The others are probably hooked in a 3. This is hooked like in a 4 or 5 even. It's a little bit chunkier, but man, it's so pretty. So I'm busy going through all of these. I'm gonna get back to getting some orders out though, because of course I was tearing around yesterday. So I'm gonna try to catch up on all the orders today. That is it for today. We'll have to get back to British rugs tomorrow. I'll pull out a couple more of these to show you because I know you're gonna want to see. It's hard to stop. It's really hard to stop. I know you're going to want to see more, and there are a lot more. Look at this little one, Martha. This is almost the same, but it's much smaller with the lamb's tongues. She's only done the center, and then on the back, ooh, look at this little thing, like a little miniature rug, and then a pattern for like a compass rose thing. There's a lot. There's a lot. So I'll take some out. I'll show some to you tomorrow. As soon as I can this week, I'll put some up. As Adopt Me projects. They will be super inexpensive because it's the most important thing is if you want to finish them that you can finish them. And can the burlap break? Sure. Will it break? Probably not, but it can. And if it does, can you repair it? Absolutely. Or can you do a partial frame of pieces that are just gorgeous that you don't want to finish, but you love the pattern and you love what's there? Of course you can and you should. It's a great way to honor work that someone else has begun. And why not? So, okay, oh, you love those, huh? I know, I went crazy last night when I started to go through the boxes because I didn't look at them while I was there. I had my mask on and everything too. That's how I didn't know they had the musty smell. But I'm not overly worried about the musty smell. I feel like the most important thing is this is proper art. I mean, this is just the height of fine rug hooking. And on the polar, opposite of that is like the rag rug stuff that we were talking about. Not that it's not fine, it's just stylistically the polar opposite. So tomorrow, let's look at a couple more of these pieces, some really fine pieces. I'll show you some of the best examples of the shading that she's doing and a little bit more of her Waldoboro, the raised effect. And then we'll go back to our British rag rugs. So that'll be Tuesday, and then on Wednesday we'll have our Zoom call. Everything goes so fast, doesn't it? Have a happy day. And I'm just catching up. Looks like the color sensibility, yeah. Yeah, some of these are the real crewel patterns that we've talked about so many times, the real floral Pearl McGowan crewel patterns. And she had a lot of book on Jacobean art patterns, copyright-free patterns, things like that. So she was obviously very inspired. A lot of dye books on specifically dyeing for Jacobean rugs. So she was a big dyer too. It was just an interesting haul. I'll be going through it for a while. But for today, yes, thank you. Please give the thumbs up, like, share, whatever. Thank you again, Joan. I will see you all tomorrow. Have a great afternoon, OCD. I will see you tomorrow. We'll look at some more fabulous rugs, and then we'll transition to really willy-nilly, raggle-taggle gypsy